Well, good morning, good afternoon, and I will tell you guys good night a little bit later on. Welcome to the third official episode of Transforming Your Life. This episode is going to be talking about men's mental health. I kind of curved a little bit from the original subject because I didn't want the original subject to be talked about right now. It'll be something a little bit later on that I will touch on, but for now, I kind of want to touch on men's mental health and how it affects a lot of us men and how it affects, honestly, even the families of those who are affected by mental health in men, and what is produced out of these issues. So before I get too far into the episode, the first thing I want to say is if you, and this definitely referring to the men since it is the episode, if you feel any type of way, if you are in a situation where you feel hopeless, where you feel that there is no light at the end of the tunnel, if you are just feeling overwhelmed, if you are feeling unloved, if you are feeling whatever way that you're feeling and you just cannot find a way out, please talk to somebody. Please contact somebody. Call the suicide hotline. Please call a friend, a family member. Talk to somebody because we need you here. We want you here, and you are worth the life, the time, the effort, and we, want to make sure that we are able to kind of help you out of this. At the bottom of the links or at the description link down there, I'm going to go ahead and add the phone number for the suicide hotline and some of the links of the facts that I'm going to be stating next. So let me go ahead and start off this episode by quoting a statistic from the National Institute of Mental Health. In 2021, the suicide rate among males was 4 times higher at 22.8 per every 100,000 than among females at 5.7 per every 100,000. Now, the statistics probably haven't changed much since 2021, and actually within this last year, in 2023, the suicide rate actually went up to 50,000. So, suicide is getting worse. Mental health is getting worse for a lot of people, especially men, right? We are having a hard time addressing issues when it comes to our own mental health, right? I'm sure everybody has heard the phrase, to man up or to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's okay to be tough. It's okay to be resilient. It is okay to have this ability to overcome things. That's the strength that everyone has, but that's often a strength that is expected of a lot of men, and it's fine to be tough and it's fine to be able to overcome those things, but also at the same time, it's okay to not be okay, right? And we've got to start getting rid of this negative stigma that men are not allowed to show emotion, that men are not allowed to struggle, and men are not allowed to have this perceived notion of weakness, right? When we talk about a lot of men who want to cry or they want to be vulnerable to the people, they're perceived and they're looked at as being weak, and that's just simply not the case, right? We are all human. We all go through this phase of sadness, this phase of anger, this phase of just true unhappiness, and at some point in time we have to be able to address these issues, and we can't address these issues if every single time we turn around something happens to somebody, specifically males, and they're told to man up, right? They're told to just suck it up and move forward. And that type of mentality doesn't really allow you to feel your feelings at the time. And it's not allowing you to do the things that will help to recoup your mental health. There's this really strange stigma that, men aren't allowed to cry, and that is just not true. And it's not something that most men feel comfortable doing around people. And it puts them in this headspace that, when they need to feel vulnerable, no one's going to be around to look, or no one's going to be around to listen. But the problem is, we need everyone to listen. We need everyone to see that vulnerability is okay, right? That vulnerability is no weakness. It is the ability to truly seek out how you feel, and it's the ability to take that feeling and kind of display that, and to display it in a way where you're letting out these emotions, and you're letting out these feelings, and you're letting out all all of these things that you have pent up inside of you. Because the moment you have to man up and move forward and continue as if nothing's happening, or have this prideful sense of, I have to keep going and not address how I feel. Because when you do that, there's no longer a question of if you're going to explode. It's a matter of when you're going to explode, right? And when that time comes, you're probably going to end up exploding on the wrong person, whether it be a loved one, whether it be someone that you are good acquaintances with, or just anyone who cares to listen at that time. And when you explode, you may say something or do something that you just cannot take back, right? And it's things like this that kind of begs the question of, what do you do when you get into these situations, or when you get into these times where you truly need help? And this is where it really would behoove a lot of people to actually go see a therapist. Allowing these therapists to bring out the things that you're feeling, and to allow you to really kind of feel out your emotions, feel out how you're feeling, feel out all the negative energy that you've accumulated from having to man up, or having to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and getting yourself into a much more clear headspace where you can now start to communicate these feelings, and society no longer starts to think, oh hey, this is not okay for men to display their emotions, for men to be vulnerable. So I highly suggest those who are having a really hard time expressing themselves to really go see a therapist, especially if you are in a state of depression, or if you're in a state where you are just consistently not able to express yourself. And this therapist can either be a therapist that is doing it with you alone, or doing it with you with a spouse that you can't seem to communicate with. And therapy is not some type of weakness. It doesn't make you any weaker than you are. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you anything less than what you truly are. It is just going to allow you to really express yourself, and it's going to allow you to do it in a more healthy way, so that now you can continue on with your life and continue on in a more productive way that'll help you, but everyone around you, and it'll keep you from being quite as sad. Now, obviously, I can't guarantee you that your sadness is going to go away, but if you're able to do things more productively and more positively, it may at least help, moving forward. And going along with all those negative stigmas, it's, one of the biggest stigmas is that men aren't allowed to cry, right? Toughening up seems to be this concept that, a lot of people tend to look in the direction of, the male mentality and say, hey, you know what, you can't feel this way because you're being considered weak at that point. And that is just simply not the truth, right? Being able to cry and being able to show this emotion that you've held deep inside, is far from being a weakness. It is being able to truly understand how you're feeling and to express that in a way where you can just release it, because that's essentially what it is. You're releasing the negative emotions that you're feeling and allowing yourself to truly heal, right? And it kind of puts us in this situation of, men not wanting to cry, because when you think about it, you cry for a multitude of reasons. You cry when you're sad. You cry when you are happy. You cry when you are excited. You cry when you are disappointed. And there's all these emotions that obviously every typical male, honestly every human goes through. But when the male psyche goes through these emotions, if you're doing these things and you cry, it's seen as weakness, and that these men who do these things are supposed to hold this back, right? You watch the multitude of men in professional sports, and you see them crying because it's not a matter of, oh hey, they're crying because they lost, but more so they're crying because of them losing, but losing after working so hard, right? So it's kind of a mix of being disappointed, but at the same time a mix of just being so full of emotions. And you watch a lot of comments on some of these videos, and it shows you how toxic it is to see people tell other men that they're just not allowed to do it, right? And it needs to change, and it needs to change really, really fast. I kind of hope a lot of men are able to kind of pick up this big support system to truly actually support each other, right? This whole thing is not a competition of who's the better man, who's the stronger man, who's the faster man, who's the true man out of all of this. But we truly need to support each other, and we truly need to make sure that we are able to be a resting shoulder for each other, right? I hug a lot of my male friends. I give them a firm handshake. I allow them to speak to me. I allow them to say all the things that they feel that they want to say, because you know what, getting those things out is okay. We need to be able to start saying I love you, and not have to quote no homo at the very end of it. And we need to truly help each other heal together, as brethren, because we can't allow this negative stigma and stereotype to continue forward, because that suicide rate is going to continue to move up if we don't do anything about it, right? Seek out therapy, or take medication if your doctor says that medication will help for whatever it is that you're feeling, or whatever it is that is inflicting pain on you right now. And we need to truly have the world start seeing that this is a huge problem, right? This is a huge problem that men are not allowed to be vulnerable. And I just want as many of us to be able to start seeing this together, right? And And it's not even, like I've said in many of my other videos, it's not about doing some type of grandiose, gesture. It's about doing something as simple as just listening to a fellow brethren. One of my friends recently was speaking to me, and this particular person, obviously male, was just wanting to talk, and they kept talking and kept talking and kept talking, and I was already tired and wanted to go to sleep, but at the same time I didn't really want to interrupt him because he was wanting to get out his feelings, and he was wanting to say some of the things that he wanted to say, and I just listened, and I hope that comforted him in knowing that I truly just wanted to be that listening ear for him and to allow him to truly express himself. And by the end of the conversation, he did thank me. He thanks me for being a good friend, and he thanked me for just listening to him. And it's something that simple that I feel like can help to relieve a lot of stress from a lot of men who just cannot express themselves. I didn't even say a lot. I listened, and I talked to him as we would as a friend, and I feel like, and I hope that really did help him to be able to release that negative energy that he may have had at the time. And I try to take a lot of positive energy into other people too, just so you guys know that I'm not just talking out of my butt. Another example was me speaking to another person, telling them that I noticed that they are doing a lot of the good things in life, right? I noticed that this particular person was always respectful, always kind, always, doing things that are indicative of someone who's a good person. And this person, I don't believe, thinks that they are a good person, or they believe that their past is something that kind of defines their current character. And I spoke to them, and I'm usually a pretty good judge of character. So the last two things I kind of want to touch up on, with kind of more the male psyche, little less about mental health, but it still kind of relates to it, is we've got to start changing some of these perceptions for things like bro code, right? So I'll use, for example, the definition for bro code is a friendship etiquette to be followed among men, or more specifically among members of the bro subculture. So it's essentially putting men before women, which is fine. Again, the whole concept of bro code is to have loyalty among themselves, and putting bros before the women that they're after. Now that's a great concept as long as bro code remains honorable, right? So bro code is great if you are making sure that your brother is okay, making sure that your friends are okay, but bro code is not okay, and we need to kind of get rid of this perception that bro code is not snitching on somebody who is being dishonorable, so cheating or lying about something, going somewhere, etc., etc. Because at that point you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? It's not okay to have that type of dishonesty and dishonor, because it's not a matter of if, but it's obviously a matter of when that bro is going to turn on you, if they're willing to turn on somebody that they supposedly love. So we've got to start changing this concept of bro code to be more geared towards actually being honorable, but at the same time, supporting our males and supporting our friends that happen to be male and everything. So that's just one of the two things that I want to make sure to cover, and to make sure that we are, as a society, really starting to change this image of bro code. Like I said, honor before doing all this other stuff. Because if this person, if let's say they had sis code or sister code, and they were lying for them to cheat on them, wouldn't they feel the exact same way? So obviously you don't want to be in that same situation. So whether it's bro code or sister code, it doesn't matter. It's all essentially the same. It all has to stay honorable for it to really be a good thing. So the last part I kind of want to talk about is, again, another perception. And the perception of men, and I guess this alpha male perception, and who we consider alpha males at this point. Because it kind of puts into this weird perspective that, when we speak about alpha males, we are talking about generally the dominant male or the dominant animal in a species that is going to, I guess, rule over the roost. Well, a lot of the times we typically see these males as, very large, very muscular, people who typically, we see them and they claim, or they self-claim that, because they are able to get a lot of women, they're able to sleep around, they're able to do all this stuff, that they are considered the alpha males. Well, that's great and all, and you being able to do those things is fine and dandy, but that doesn't particularly make you, an actual alpha male. Because after everything is all said and done, and you have conquered everything that you think you've conquered, what's left, right? What's left? What woman is going to want somebody just because they are maybe good in bed, or maybe they have, a muscular physique? That's great. You might be able to fight, you might not be able to fight, but what more do you have to offer? Now, these people who have, great physiques, who are very successful, who are very nice, genuinely good people, they may actually be the alpha males, which is great, because those people may present a more refined male, right? They may be successful, they may be extremely nice, they may be loving to their family, maybe loving to their spouses, to their children. So those are the type of people that we really want to kind of encapsulate as real alpha males. The people who are genuinely really good people, who take care of the people around them. All these facades of all these guys who think that just because they are, physically attractive, and that they can take, that they can, I guess, nag or nab a very pretty female, or whatever the case is, or nab multiple females, they'll, in the very end of things, they will have nothing to show for it other than the fact that they have a high body count at that point, which is, again, it's fine if that's the way that you want to live your life, but, we need to start putting this perception that, really the blue collar guy who is working as hard as he can to make sure that his life for his children and his spouse are good, or his family, or maybe the guy who's just working just as hard, who is doing whatever he needs to do to get by, to get to a good position in life, and he treats everybody with respect. He has an honorable bro code. He is doing everything that he can to make sure that people, and every person, they feel on equal footing. Because the thing that separates us from animals is the fact that we are, honestly, we have more intricate thoughts. Like we are able to delve into technology and all that other stuff. So yes, being the biggest and the strongest is going to help eventually, but if you have nothing more to offer other than physical attractiveness and a big muscular body, then you're not really an alpha male. Like, you really think that you are, but you really aren't an alpha male. And I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate from this, but it's okay. We need to really start refining this look of what an alpha male looks like, and it may not be this big, strong, burly, muscular guy, but it may be this skinny kid who is super successful and who has, created a good, honorable code for himself that allows him to really take care of the people around him. But hopefully you guys have taken some good things away from this, and I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I hope you guys have a great night. Love you guys.